Hodge. I'm coming to you live, and I'm doing something actually way out there right now. I decided I was just going to go ahead and hit the live broadcast and go out live and just talk. Okay, so I'm sitting down here right now. I'm in my office getting everything together. I've been in this new house. My wife and my kids and myself have been in this new house for maybe about a little over 5 months now. And I'm finally getting downstairs to actually set up my office. Up until just, these past couple of days, I'd been up at the dining room table. I had converted that into my office. And my wife told me one day, you really need to go and set the office up downstairs. So I'm down here now setting it up, and I can't say that I got bored. I got a little fatigued going through the boxes, taking stuff out of boxes, putting them on the shelves. I don't know if you can relate to that, but it's one of the things that I absolutely hate about the moving process is the packing and then the unpacking and the moving. So I'm in that process right now, and it doesn't look like the normal cyclone that usually it would look like when I am going through this process, probably because when we left the old house, we threw away as much stuff as we possibly could before we came to the new place. So we came here considerably lighter, and that actually has become a tremendous blessing. So I'm going through now just kind of putting the stuff up on the bookshelves. I'm not going through the actual organization. We've got probably about 300 to 400 books. And, just kind of getting my head around where everything's going to go, fitting it within a certain space, that's a little tough. I mean, we've got like wall to wall. I'm walking around now as I'm talking. We've got like wall to wall shelving units, and we've got bookshelves, and then the place that we moved into, it's got like a bookshelf that is built into the wall in this little cubby area, the office area. Well, it's off to the side of the office. And I was like, okay, well, we have a lot of bookshelf space. So I decided to start pulling the books out of the boxes, because if not, they'll be in there for years. And I realized that there's certain things that I absolutely just have to do just to kind of push myself off the ledge to get things done. Have you ever had that happen to you where you kind of know that if you don't make something drastic happen, that you will absolutely not get the thing done that you have on your list to get done? Well, yeah, I'm one of those type of people that I need to actually create in some cases, depending on what the topic is. But in some cases, I need to actually create a vehicle where I cannot turn back. It's kind of like, that story where I forget which culture it was, but they burned the ships. I don't know if it was Roman or Persian or Greek or whatever, but they burned the ships in order to make sure that nobody had designs on thinking they were getting off the island, without conquering the folks that they came to conquer. Now, history is not one of my strongest points, so any of you history buffs out there who are saying, that's not how that happened. It wasn't an island, it was a country, it was a continent. Okay, whatever. So, but you get the point though, right? You get the point is that sometimes you have to just create a vehicle for you to get things done. So that is what I have been doing, is creating these little mini vehicles so that I can get things done. So right now, I am sitting here talking to you, but I'm actually working. I'm creating content because I also wanted to make sure that as I'm unpacking and putting stuff on shelves, I'm still creating income-producing activities and things that I can use, I could leverage later, in order to drive people into one of my sales funnels. So this is what this is going to eventually turn into. And whether I use the whole broadcast itself or cut it up into bits and pieces in order to remanufacture it into what it is that I need it to do, it will become a part of my sales funnel. So I guess I better give you some value in this talk so that I have something to use as a part of this whole process, right? Okay, so one of the things that I've been kind of like on for probably quite a few years now, and when I first got on Spreaker and SoundCloud and all of that, I started this series called Rapid Content Creation. And then I abandoned Spreaker and my SoundCloud and my podcasting for a moment and started doing other things. And so most recently, I've said to myself, okay, I've got to get back to doing those things, not only that I love doing, but that are good for me to just keep in practice. And so I'm going to, go back into this whole rapid content creation. I'm going to give you some content hacks right now that you could take away from this listening today and immediately start creating relevant content for your audience, relevant content for your blogs and your websites and all of that, and to where it will be something that you actually should be able to be proud of. Okay. One of the main things that you want to do when you're creating content is you want to look at, okay, who you're creating content for. Now, I know that I'm creating content for nonprofits. I'm creating it for other marketers. I'm creating it for other media planners and folks who get stuck when it comes to the type of content that they can create online. So this is a perfectly suited thing for you to listen to if you have run into these problems. What are you going to create? How can you come up with ideas for your content? One of the easiest ways to come up with ideas, and I am an information junkie. I tend to keep a lot of information around, a lot of magazines, newspapers, what have you. I'm not a pack rat, okay? They actually are neatly put into my swipe file boxes so I can reach for them and grab the things that I need. So, I do keep those pretty organized. So what I do is I, look for things in a particular niche. Now, I've got a few niches that I work within, and health is one of them. Marketing is another, media planning, business, building business and all of that, and nonprofits. Nonprofits, when I go and I train with them, I show them how to create relevant content to get in front of their audience so that they can not only be relevant to their audience, but they can set themselves up in a position that they can find their fundraiser just by doing what it is that they do and talking about it. So one of the things that I talk to them about is, okay, how do you create what is called an editorial calendar? What are you going to be talking about for the next 3, 6, 9 months, a year? How do you know what is going to be the best fit for your audience? Well, that takes a certain level of research. So then I go into research. Well, how do you research? Well, first off, you want to know who it is that you ultimately want to, touch bases with, that you want to connect with. And then you want to know what their habits are. What is it that they like? Some of the best places to go for that information is Amazon.com. You can also go to a site called boardreader.com. You can go and set up a Google alert. I love Google alerts. I do them all the time. And I do that because I want to make sure that I don't have to jump online every time to try to find stuff. I just say, this is what I want you to return to me. And then it delivers those back. I've got to check and make sure that Google Alerts still is doing its thing. It's been a little moment since I have checked on that because I have moved on to IFTTT. IFTTT. IFTTT, I have that set up, and it stands for if this, then that. You can go to ifttt.com. And what I create there is these things called recipes. And so anytime that there are posts that come in that have a certain hashtag, I have that go into a particular spreadsheet or a document or whatever. Or I may have that populate over onto a random blog that I don't send any traffic to, but I use it as a repository for information so that I can go back later on and say, okay, yeah, this was good, this wasn't good, this was good, this was good, this was good. Now I can comment on those things, respond, take those links, and then use those in relevant blog posts, talk about certain current events or whatever it is that I'm sourcing at the time or that I'm sourcing for a client. So I set those things up in that way: Board Reader, Google Alerts, IFTTT, also forums. The thing I like about Board Reader is that it will give me the forums, the blogs, the websites, the trending things. It'll pop up things on my keywords that I'm looking for without my having to go to the individual places. So I don't have to go and look into the forums or the communities online because Board Reader will drive all of that to me in one location. So I only have to go to one place to get all the stuff that I need. Another thing that I do is I will go and pick up some magazines. Like right now I'm looking at my Seattle Met Food Lover's Guide. It's the Food Lover's Guide to Seattle. And inside of that, it has a whole bunch of foodie things, right? So say that I want to now start talking about, because we're in the holiday season right now, and there's going to be a lot of people who are going to be looking to me as a chef to say, Jason, what can I cook? What can I cook later on this week? Now, this week it's probably a little late because they should have been planning ahead of time to figure out what they're going to be cooking for Thanksgiving if they celebrate that, or for Christmas if they celebrate that, New Year's, whatever. And, so at this point, they'll be looking to me to give them some emergency quick fixes that are going to taste really good. So I could either pull something off the top of my head, which I have a boatload of recipes and stuff in my brain. I never measure anything, but, I've got great ideas for food. And so I walk people through foodie things all the time. So I'll go in and say, okay, well, let's see, what are you working with? And they'll start telling me what they're working with. And then I'll either say, okay, well, based on what you just told me that you have in your pantry or in your fridge or whatever, do this, this, and this with it, and now you're good, right? Or I could say, hey, I'm looking at this recipe right here inside of the Seattle Met magazine, and the recipe looks pretty good, but I know that you're gluten-free. So do these things, but substitute this for this, this for this, this for this, this for this, and you'll have a perfect recipe. You're going to love it. Your family's going to love it. You'll be able to eat it because it's gluten-free now. We've converted the recipe, and now you'll have something that you can cook for years, from years from now, because we created it especially for your dietary needs. So those are quick hacks. You go look at posts. You want to see another content hack, rapid content creation? I've been doing this like all week. I'll cook something. I'll take pictures of my cooking process. And then after I finish taking the pictures, I upload them to my Facebook, maybe do a little description on them or whatever. And then I do a hangout. Or I shoot a video. Maybe it's not a hangout. Sometimes I'll do the live hangout because I don't want to sit there and have to process the video. And I'm not trying to do something perfect at that point. I'm just trying to make the connection with my crowd who likes to sit and talk about food and see what it is that I'm doing with food. So I'll do an impromptu hangout and say, hey, jump on the hangout with me, or hey, jump on my Facebook or pop over to my blog, and I'll be talking about what it is that I see you posting, or questions that you're asking, or comments that you're making. I will sit and respond to that. And so I have a good time. I don't have a time frame on it. Sometimes it'll go for 15 minutes. Sometimes it'll go for an hour, hour and a half, just depending. It depends on the amount of interaction that I'm getting. So that's another way to create content rapidly while I'm still getting other things done. Right now, because I'm getting things done and moving this stuff around and I wanted to take a little break, I could, quite frankly, go back to moving stuff back onto shelves and things and continue to talk to you. And I'll be getting other things done while I'm getting content done. So, it's just a way to collapse your time. All right, so hopefully that has given you some really good ideas on how you can rapidly source content. You already know that the content is relevant because you're seeing it in the magazine. The magazine, they've already done their demographic and psychographic studies and feasibility studies to see what stories are going to go over well for their crowd. And if that magazine happens to be catering to the same crowd that you're catering to, then guess what? You know that that's going to be a workable topic because it's mainstream and it's what people are consuming. So you go ahead and you give your spin on those articles or on those takes, your takes on those articles. And now you create original content that has been catalyzed or inspired by what it is that you see, the cover art, or the headlines that you see in there, or the stories that you've read that now you want to expound upon or give your opinion on, your editorial on. So, there you have it. That right there, I've given you what is it, 5 or so? Magazines, board reader, alerts, websites, blogs, whatever, and taking stuff just out of your head. You may see some headlines in the newspaper that kind of spark a conversation from you. You may have had a conversation with somebody, and that conversation started getting your mind going in a certain direction. So then you speak on that. One of the main things that you want to do is that when you start speaking on any of the topics, keep it conversational. Don't worry about it having to be so extra perfect. I mean, if you're doing a full-on production, well, maybe you do have to have a little more perfection in there. But if you're wanting to connect with people, then you leave the perfection at the door, because people don't connect with perfection, really. They connect with people. So that's why I decided to go ahead and hit record on this and go live with you, so that I can just make a quick connection, do something that I haven't done before, which is go live without a particular plan in mind, and to talk about creating content, which is exactly what I'm doing. So I'm walking the walk, walking the talk, talking the walk, whatever. All right, so this is Jason Hodge. Hey, if you have any questions, you want to know some things that you can do to boost your marketing, you want to get some media planning, situated for your organization or your project, your company, whatever, go ahead, pop on over to my website, thejasonhodge.info. I actually have another one that I am getting ready right now. I'm so excited about this, because this website that I'm working on right now, not the one that I just gave you, but this one is really for the intrapreneur. And, we'll talk about that in, future episodes in this series. But intrapreneur or entrepreneurialism is a topic that I'm excited about, because it is showing the employee or the team member how to take their ideas, their concepts, and all of that, and how to leverage those in order to benefit the company that they're working for or working with. The company owners, how to get their staffers. If you've got staffers and you're wanting to know, okay, so how can we leverage their skill sets? How can we utilize our staffers, that equity that we have there, and create dynamic, organic, authentic campaigns with our staffers? Well, that's what this new project that I'm developing right now, I'm so excited about it. That's what this new project is about. It's about, working with, because, I work with nonprofit organizations, and nonprofits, they do great work, but the challenge is that they've got to figure out how they're going to keep their doors open a lot of times. Now, that's not all of them. There's like 7% of the nonprofits, last I checked, are in danger of closing or are closing every year, which is around 72,000 a year, because we've got around 1.2 million nonprofit organizations in existence in the United States. And 7% of them, a little more than 7%, every year, they're getting those things like, hey, you got to close down. And that's because, by and large, it's because of funding. Some of it's about mismanagement, but, the majority of it is around funding, not understanding how to create the revenue streams that they need to create in order to keep their doors open. So what ends up happening is that they do ineffective fundraisers, and those fundraisers take extra energy and time. And as they're taking that energy and time, they're not able to fully do what it is that they open their doors to do. So what I do when I go in and work with nonprofits is I show them, okay, well, this is how you, number one, create engaging content that is going to connect with your community. This is how you position yourself to be found by your funders. This is how you make yourself relevant to your funders. This is how you create a dynamic around your organization that is that's going to cause people to want to support you, to evangelize you, to market for you just by talking about all the great things that you're doing, where you're going to spend very minimal amounts of money to do that. Whereas when you don't have that community, when you don't have that connection, when you don't have that presence on and offline, in a greater and expansive community, what ends up happening is you have to throw money at the problem, which is the problem. So That is why that was a roundabout way of telling you why I'm excited about this project, because I'm about solutions, right? And so I'm like, wow, finally. And this was like the other day I was sitting there at the makeshift office desk, right? The dining room table. And I was sitting there thinking like, okay, I want to have something that is separate, even though it's a part of my company. I want it to be a separate thing so that folks can come to it, the employees and the nonprofits, they can come to it and they can get trained on how to operate in these different aspects of their business and to grow it using digital tools. And it just hit me, okay, so this is an entrepreneurial thing. So, yeah. So I'll give you more on that when I'm closer to launch on that. But, yeah, it's so exciting. So exciting. All right, so all that to say, if you want to connect up with me, go ahead and visit the jasonhodge.info. Okay, you'll see my blog. That blog right there is under, I would say it's under ongoing construction. If you want to see a little bit more about what I do, you want to see the more professional side of me, pop on over to about.me/InJa Media Group. That's about.me/I, N as in Nancy, J as in Jack, A as in Apple, H as in Harry, Media Group. All right? And that's my About Me page, where it has the other links of other stuff that I've got going on online. So it's a centralized place for you to be able to kind of expand out and see, okay, this is some of what Jason has going on there. So I'd love to connect with you. If you want to have any questions answered about what it is you can do, maybe something to enliven your campaign or maybe create a campaign for you or your business or your project, hit me up. Love to talk with you. All right. All of that said, I'm signing out now. Going to get back to either putting this stuff back on the shelves, or I'll sit and do another quick live broadcast. All right. Catch you later. Bye-bye.